What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a good trade. James Harden has finally got out of Houston after all these years. He's finally gone. The Brooklyn Nets have agreed to acquire James Harden from the Rockets. The Rockets will acquire 4 first-round picks and 4 pick swaps. Brooklyn will send out Caris Levert, Jarrett Allen, and Taurean Prince as a part of the package. The Cavaliers will acquire Allen and Prince while sending a 2022 first-round pick from Milwaukee and Rodions Kurucs and Dante Exum to the Rockets. The Philadelphia 76ers have been considered the favorite to acquire Harden due to the possibility of Ben Simmons being included in the package, but it will not happen as the Nets will get him. This is a good trade for everybody. James Harden wasn't motivated. He didn't want to be there. And the Rockets got off to a bad start, and they could never build the chemistry. They could never get on the same page. And Harden, even though he put up 26 and 11, they just wasn't winning games, and they wasn't a championship contender, in my personal opinion. And I say that to a lot of people. They're going to be a playoff team, but they're not a team that's going to win a title. James Harden said that yesterday, that the chemistry issues, the fit issues, and them just not playing great on both ends of the court, he knew that this wasn't enough. And I also looked at the Brooklyn Nets as a team that wasn't a championship team. Even if they was supposed to go to the NBA Finals, like people thought that they'd be the Finals favorites, nobody had them beating the Clippers and nobody had them beating the Lakers, which means they're not a legitimate championship team if you don't really see them winning the title. Obviously, they had to give up Caris Levert. They was going to have to give up Jarrett Allen because those two are high quality players. And even though they still was able to, keep DeAndre Jordan, which was good because they needed a starting center that can, give them something. And DeAndre Jordan hasn't been the same. He hasn't as good as people think. And a lot of people are starting to turn on him too. He's still a starting caliber center in this league, and it's crazy. They was able to keep Spencer Dinwiddie too, even though he's going to be a free agent and he's coming off an injury. They were still able to get this deal done at the end of the day, and they did basically give up their whole future. But when you're signing Kevin Durant and you're signing Kyrie Irving, the expectations is you have two of the best players in the world. You should be trying to win a title, and now they have three of them, and they had to go all in. I believe that they had to because this season they're 6-6. They don't look that good. They don't. They look dominant from time to time, but they look human from time to time. And what I mean by that, teams are not scared of them. Teams are like the Hornets and the Hawks are going at them. They feel like they can compete with them. They feel like they're on the same level as them, and that should not be the case when you have two of the best players in the world that's basically unguardable, unstoppable, and can do whatever they want to do on the court. And, they're 6-6. And there's multiple reasons why they're there. But they have been inconsistent on both ends of the court. Sometimes they get enough stops, sometimes they can't stop a team, and sometimes they just can't be stopped and they hit on all cylinders. And Kyrie has been a mess doing the saging things and causing all this chaos and still going through it with the media. Then he's going through it with his team. But you have to keep him because what he brings to the table on the court, and that's being explosive. The guy can hit any shot. He can get guys involved when he wants to, and he's a guy that causes a lot of chaos too because you have to defend him, and a lot of times team double team him when he gets hot. But now you have James Harden, who's a good 3-point shooter, Kevin Durant, who's a good 3-point shooter. You still was able to keep Joe Harris, for what I see, he wasn't even a part of the trade, so you get to keep him too. And nobody really wanted Taurean Prince. He's not a great player, not a great defender. He's just a solid role player. And Caris Levert, you have James Harden and Jared. You have James Harden and Joe Harris. So you still have that pretty covered, and you have a backup too. And also the picks don't matter because you're trying to win a championship right now. The Cavaliers didn't really give up much for Allen. It is kind of weird because they do have Andre Drummond, but people don't see him as a guy that's going to stay there long term. So I could possibly see him on the move as he's going to be a free agent. And you look at the picks that they gave up, it really that wasn't that much because Jared Allen is a starter in his league, and you get a wing, and I feel like they needed another wing for their team if they're going to try to compete for a top 8 or even a play-in spot. And Dante Exum and Cruz just haven't worked out that well, but maybe they can do more in a different opportunity if the Rockets consider keeping them. And then you look at the fact that when you giving up what you gave up, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, is worth it. You're getting a guy that since he's been traded to the Rockets has been able to get them to the playoffs each and every year that he was there. It's not one season that the Rockets wasn't in the playoffs with James Harden on the roster, whether it was with Kevin McHale or even when they was the number one team in the entire NBA with Mike D'Antoni. This guy is an elite scorer. This guy is virtually a one-man wrecking crew, and he proved that year after year. He can get you 50 or 60, and he already done did it multiple times. He's the only guy that has the most 40-point double-doubles, especially with 10 assists, and he owns that record. So you already know what you have with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Now you're trying to find a way to increase your chances of being a championship team, and this is the best way to do it, especially when you give up what you gave up to get them. Now, this has to work at the same time because these guys are not locked down long term at the end of the day. So these guys only going to be here for a couple more years. Now that they get Harden, maybe that gives you a chance to re-sign them. Maybe that gives you a chance to keep them. Now that they all will be together, if it works out, they have Mike D'Antoni already. Mike D'Antoni has already coached. James Harden has already got the best out of James Harden in his career. The best years he had was with Mike D'Antoni, and the most success he did have was with D'Antoni when they was up 3-2 against the Warriors and was up in the fourth quarter of both of those games, and they just couldn't close it out. But to me, this is smart. This should happen. This is the deal that you make if you're trying to increase your chance of winning the title if you're the Nets. And the fact that you gave up two quality players and you still have a decent bench and you still have a starting center and you still have the starting forward, you still have a starting guard, and you still do have guys like Tyler Johnson and those guys on your bench, you'll be fine. So I think Brooklyn wins the trade. They got the best player in the trade, and you can still keep Kevin Durant in them long term if it does work out. But this is a championship or bust team. They have to win the title. If they don't win the title, this is all unnecessary, and it's not going to do much. But if they do win the title, that's the whole purpose of this trade, to make them the favorites. And I honestly, when I see how they play so far, and then you just add James Harden and that, they should be the team that comes out with the championship this year. And if that does happen, it will just be about repeating. Can they win multiple titles? That's going to be the question once they win their first one. And if they do that, then this trade and picking up Kevin and Kyrie was definitely worth it. And the only reason why I say that, James Harden not going to Brooklyn if it wasn't for Kevin Durant being there. He's not going to want to go there if they had to get rid of Kyrie. And since he has both of them and you just put him in that offense and that team, that's the main reason why he wanted to go. But Oladipo got traded to the Rockets, so I got to come with y'all with that video. So I'll be going. Make sure you subscribe. Quinn Wade Basketball Now signing out.